geomorphology. Yes. Guys, we're going to talk to you about geomorphology. Geomorphology is the study of natural landforms, as you can see, with their nature, origin, and where they come from. This is including their classification, description, nature, origin, development, and relationship to underlying structures. As you can see, this river over here, behind here is a gravel pit. In this case, this would be the underlying structure of this river. Okay. Geomorphology actually refers to features produced by erosion and deposition. Although geomorphology tends to focus on terrestrial landforming. And even the surfaces of Moon and Mars are in fact known to use this kind of structure. Geomorphology is fundamentally inspired by the shapes of the terrain. So whatever shape this river would be, that is how the water would have eroded. Yes. It is generally accepted that in instance that when water erodes rock over a long period of time, however, that is not answer the question of any particular amount. This is take two. Taking an interview with bypass and then let's see if anyone can answer the question. Okay, talk to you about geomorphology, right? And we just wanted to ask, is there anything you can tell us about this river in particular, or just anything about the history of geomorphology?
Not originally differentiated from the rest of geology.
Oh, wow.
The first geomorphic model was the cycle of erosion developed by William Morris Davis between 1884 and 1899.
Oh, wow. That's quite long, isn't it?
Long before it's late in my time.
Yes, indeed.
The cycle was inspired by theories of evolution and was depicted as a sequence by which
Yes, indeed.
She has to go home for tea.
I've got things to do and food to eat. Yes, by which a river would cut a valley more and more deeply, but then erosion of side valleys would eventually flatten out the terrain again, now at a lower elevation. So that could just be like going
Oh, wow. So we don't know how long ago it's eroded. So, wow. Is that still that?
The cycle could be started over by uplift of the terrain.
Quite sunny day. Carry on, please. No. Please carry on. Read.
Actually, smile.
The model is today considered too much of a simplification to be especially useful in practice.
Oh, wow. So that's like all the ones on.
Yes, it is.
I don't know. This guy developed an alternative model in the 1920s, but I forgot his name. I think it
Was it William Morris Davis?
No, it was by
Oh, okay. I see.
yeah. I don't know his name. Maybe you can research
Yes,
that.
indeed. We shall research because we are curious.
Based on ratios of uplift and erosion, but it was too weak to explain
Hold it.
a variety of landforms.
2 weeks? 2 weeks. Okay, thank you so much for that interview. Okay, so from her we learned about the history, how William Morris Davis first came up with the theory of the cycle of evolution. And that is the reason behind all this geomorphology, all this water you can see and all this rain pouring down here. Okay, and it's actually quite rainy now, so we're gonna like go. We are having to cut this video in the middle due to the bad weather and because we want food and we're hungry and tired. But as usual, we'd like to say thank you to our filmmakers, Farah, and over there, Priya, hi, and then
the bypasser, Jaslina. Wait, stay there. Jaslina, go! Yeah!
Also,
And we'd like to say thank you to the lake for
Yes.
being quite a wonderful lake.
and this is quite, we'd like to say thank you to all of the residents here who have allowed us to take this video. Residents, where are you?
They're there. But we're going to leave now before it gets too windy and we drowned.
We're back with Geomorphology 2. We couldn't film outside because of the heavy rain and because it was really bad weather. As you know, London weather is so unpredictable. Yeah, so we're going to tell you a few more facts about geomorphology. Unfortunately, we cannot film next to a river, but we can all be the river. Geomorphologists seek to understand why landscapes look the way they do. And they want to understand landform history. And quite frankly, as geographers ourselves, we'd like to do that too. And with the help of our bypasser again, we are going to do that. Finally, geomorphology too. Like we said, we want to give you more information about geomorphology because anyway, here's our quick overview. Like we said, geomorphology is a scientific study of landforms and the processes that shape them, right? So geomorphologists seek to understand why landscapes look the way they do. They want to understand landform history and the dynamics, and they want to predict changes through a combination of field observations. I think an example of a field observation would be when we ourselves went to the river and we observed it. It may not be a very good example, but it was. Okay, so like we said, they do physical experiments, they do numerical modeling, and it's packed within physical geography, geology, engineering geology, archaeology, and all kinds of geology. Anyway, yeah, so this broad base of interest contributes to many research styles and interest within the field.
The surface of the Earth is modified by a combination of surface processes that sculpt landscapes.
This could be water erosion, rock erosion, or even water, wind, ice, fire, and living things on the surface of the Earth that help to make these changes. When we talk about living things on the surface of the Earth, even animals could make differences. But as humans, we also make human alterations to landscapes. Especially in the past, we have a lot, and in the present day, we do a lot as well.
The study of geomorphology has been around since ancient times. The first official geomorphologic model was proposed between 1884 and 1899 by the American geographer William Morris Davis. His geomorphic cycle model was inspired by theories of
uniformationism
and attempted to theorize the development of various landform features.
Davis's geomorphic cycles model says that a landscape undergoes a preliminary uplift that is paired with erosion.
And this is in an uplifted landscape. So within the same landscape, precipitation causes streams to flow more rapidly. And this is an example of geomorphology. And as they grow, their power then cuts into the ground surface, both at the start of the stream and lower down in the stream. This is how a valley goes deeper. And this creates the stream channels present in many landscapes even today. So like the river we went to, that's probably undergoing the same process.
The model also says that the slope's angle of the landing is gradually reduced and the ridges and divides present in certain landscapes become rounded or over time become limited to water, as in the stream example, the lake example. Finally, according to Davis's model, over time such erosion occurs in cycles and the landscape eventually morphs into an old erosion surface.
Davis's theory was important in launching the field of geomorphology because that's where it all started. And it was very innovative, as at its time it was a new It was a new attempt to explain physical landform features. And today, however, it is not usually used as a model because the processes he described are not so systematic in the real world, and it failed to take into account the processes being observed in later geomorphic studies. So what that means is that his theories were for our advanced technology today and the observations we've discovered from looking at rivers. His model it wasn't a systematic approach towards it. That's why our observations suggest something else. Okay, so since Davis's model, several alternative attempts have been made to explain landform processes. So Walter Penck, an Austrian geographer, developed a model in the 1920s, for example, that looked at ratios of uplift and erosion. It did not take hold, though, because it also could not explain all landform features. It only explained a few. Okay, so this is called the fluvial study, and fluvial geomorphologic processes are those related to rivers and streams. So a river example would be the one we went to. The flowing water found here is important in shaping the landscapes in two ways. First, the power of the water moving across the landscape cuts and erodes its channel, so it would get deeper. And as it does this, the river shapes its landscape by growing in size, meandering across the landscape, and sometimes merging with other rivers, forming a network of braided rivers. And the paths rivers take depend on the topology of the area and the underlying geology or the rock structure found where it's moving. So In that case, the land would depend on how deep the water was and how long it went. Also, in addition to this, the river carves into its landscape. It carries the sediment. It erodes as it flows. This gives it more power to erode, as there's more friction in the moving water. But it also deposits this material when it floods or flows out of mountains onto an open plain. In this case, it is called an alluvial fan. Okay, so the mass movement. The mass movement process is another key point in geomorphologic structures in rivers. This is also sometimes called mass wasting, and it occurs when soil and rock moves down a slope under the force of gravity. So if that was to happen, the river would obviously get deeper and the channel will cut. The process is both erosional and depositional. So glacial. Glaciers are one of the most significant agents of landscapes. Although we are talking about rivers, it's also a key point of geomorphology. They are erosional forces because their ice carves the ground beneath them, and on the sides, in the case of a valley glacier, which results in a U-shaped valley. This happens in rivers. Okay, so glaciers are depositional because their movement pushes rocks and other debris into new areas. So that's also sometimes why we find dirt in river, and some rivers are not as clean as others, or even water deposits. Okay, so the sediment created by the grinding down of rocks by glaciers is called glacial rock flour. Yeah. As glaciers melt, they also drop their debris, creating features like eskers and moraines. Keywords in geomorphology. Once again. So, weathering is another erosional process that involves the chemical breakdown of rocks, such as limestone, and the mechanical wearing down of rock by a plant's roots growing and pushing through it. And finally, geomorphology and geography. The most popular divisions of geography is physical geography. By studying geomorphology and its processes, one can gain significant insight into the formation of the various structures found in landscapes worldwide, which can then be used as a background for studying that many aspects of physical geography. Okay.
No, I know that video was quite the bore.
Due to me, I'm sorry, guys.
She was rabbiting on.
That was a very boring video, we know, but hopefully you'll enjoy these bloopers, guys.
Stop it now.
Oh, stop the video now.
Stop it. Priya, stop it. Why are you cutting it?
Hello, everybody.
I wasn't even recording it.
Farah, please let's dance.
I wasn't even recording it.
Farah, let's dance.
I wasn't even recording
Farah, let's
it.
dance. Let's go. Jazina, come here, please.
Jazina, the guitar. Oh, I saw that falling.
I caught it. Don't worry, guys. I'm Superwoman.
My arm is
Cut.
on as well.
Cut.
Life.
Not today.
I'm playing the guitar.
Yes. Farah.
I am.
See, smile.
Okay. And like we said, geomorphologists seek to understand why landscapes look the way they do.
No.
And they want to understand landform history, which take number. I forgot the number because these
I think
guys.
it's 59. No.
So, like we said, that we Asians flag, yeah, something we Asians got.
No.
So what it is do you want to start off? Okay, I'll start off then. Don't worry.
The surface of the earth is modified by a combination of surface processes that.
Hey guys, I'm on the floor.
You can stop now.
Excuse me, guys.
Okay, to cut the tape.
Excuse me from the corner.
Okay. So geomorphology is oh, cut it, man! I forgot. Cut it! Cut it now! Stop it, juice.
I'm on the floor.
Oh, it wasn't even on.
Let me just,
Oh.
I'm being serious. Hold on. Okay, cut the tape. Let's do it again. So more information about.